Hi, everyone. My name is Natalie Jobity, and I'm the Brilliance Unveiler, founder of the Unveil Way Leadership Elevation Strategist for Women, and host and creator of Limitless Leaders Summit, designed for women ready to break barriers, manifest their dreams, and own their power. I'm so passionate about women elevating in their professional lives, expanding how they see themselves and the world around them, and evolving so they can shed what no longer serves them and truly shine in their own brilliance. Because here's the truth. The possibilities are endless when we are in our highest expression and finally take the reins of our lives so we can become the unapologetic, limitless leaders we truly are. Our incredible speaker today on the summit is Jennifer Urezzio. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, just so great to be here. I'm so excited to be here, and thank you so much for creating this.
Thank you for being a contributor and guest and speaker. So let's say a little bit more about Jennifer and what she does. Jennifer Urezzio is a prominent figure in the field of personal development and spiritual growth. As a gifted intuitive healer and strategist, she has devoted her life to helping others discover their unique soul languages and embrace their true essence. Jennifer's journey began with her own pursuit of self discovery, which eventually led her to develop a revolutionary system called soul language. Jennifer is also master intuitive and author of two best-selling books. Currently, she has trained over 30 practitioners worldwide in soul language, and there are over 5,000 individuals all around the world connecting to their soul languages. Our topic and theme for today is tapping into the power of your soul to break through your limits. So, Jennifer, before we get started, I would love to have your perspective on what our soul is.
So it's our essential nature. It's that part that is divine, and it is our essential self, that part that's never been hurt, that's never been wounded, that knows it's whole and complete.
Mm. And so, what got you on this path to going deeper into the soul and coming up with this paradigm of soul language?
I think I didn't want to suffer, right? I mean, doesn't everyone? But I really knew that there was something big inside me and wanted to be birthed. And I was kind of angry all the time. So I started to dive deeper into my own essential nature and see how I could operate from that versus from my pain, my struggle, my humanness, and my programming. And that led me to downloading this paradigm called soul language.
And you say downloading.
I channeled it. I heard it through divine guidance. I asked a question and it popped in my head. And that's how I created the entire paradigm.
So, when you say your essential nature, because it's not a term I hear. I mean, I think I know what you mean, but just say more about our essential nature.
Yeah. So it's that part that is of divinity, that is of wholeness and completeness, that part of us that cannot be destroyed, that cannot be wounded, that could be not be hurt. That's what I call that. It's that part that knows that, that getting that next client or that bad day is not who we are at our core. And it's that part that's never really afraid and that knows that our life is without limits.
Well, I was going to say, would you say that part is the part that is limitless?
Yeah, totally. I mean, it is, both earth and sky and knows it can out vision our little minds and our little brains. It is that part of infinite knowledge and wisdom.
Jennifer, how would you distinguish that from our intuition, or are they one and the same?
I think your intuition is how your soul is speaking to you, right? Our intuition will use our own database to relay that information more than 9 out of 10 times, right? I've done readings for people where I get this word, I'm like, I don't know what this means. And I say it, and they're like, oh my God, that's Russian and it means blah, blah, blah. But most of the time, my soul is speaking to me through my intuition and it's using my database. So I'll get movie references or I'll get cartoon references or Star Trek references because that's what the things I love. And I know how to kind of understand that and then relay it into a way that's action oriented.
So interesting. So tell us a little more about how we can use our soul to see, understand, and break through limits. Now, the women listening to this summit, they are entrepreneurs, but they're also executives too. So speak to both types of women as well when you explain that.
Yeah, I think it's one and the same, right? So the first thing is you want to be able to sit in that knowing and move into profound trust. So often people are like, I just wish I could trust and I would know that everything's going to be okay. Trust is not knowing that everything's going to be okay. Trust is really a practice, and it's understanding that no matter what happens, you're safe, you're loved and supported, you're provided for. And so that's the first thing that your soul can help you do. It can put you in a consciousness of trust and
Mm.
actually sit there, and then you can take actions from there. Whether you're running a business or you're an executive in someone else's business, or you are just want to have better relationships, it doesn't matter. When you come from a place of deep knowing that you're safe, you're putting that into the energy field of everything you do, and that will align and create more safety in your world.
And safety is so huge, and especially in the times you're in right now with so many things out of alignment, so many things just beyond understanding, so many things that are just, I think, making a lot of us unsettled and scared of what's to come. This idea of feeling safety, psychological safety, just being safety, as you're describing it, is a huge thing. So you talk about us getting into that consciousness of safety, but how do you actually get there?
Yeah. So we're going to, if you want to do an exercise with me.
Absolutely
Okay.
happy.
So your body doesn't have free will. It's your mind and heart that does. If we ask our body to raise its hand, it
Mm,
will comply if everything's in working order. It's not going to say, you know what, I really could, but I don't want to. It just doesn't have that. So we can use this divine intelligence, this body, to put us in a consciousness, even if we've never experienced it. And this is really important for people who have trauma, right?
mm,
Because they'll go, I don't know what safety feels like in my body. And I go, okay, let's have a willingness. Your body will naturally put you there, even if it's just for a blip. And then you want to keep extending that kind of moment. So close your eyes, and you're kind of gonna get on my bus. Like, you're just gonna, like, even if I use words you don't understand, don't worry, just let your body do what it wants to do. Okay. So repeat after me. Divine intelligence,
divine intelligence,
fill my body
fill my body
with the feeling and knowing
with the feeling and knowing
of divine safety.
of divine safety.
And just tell me what you notice.
Mm. So I noticed my shoulders relax, um, and I just felt a little bit more grounded.
Yeah. And when you go back watching the video, your voice came down an octave, right? So when we're nervous or when we're excited, our voice goes up. Like, I've gotten so angry where I go to speak and nothing comes out because my voice has gone so high,
Mm,
right? But when we're in safety, we're grounded and we're in our natural rhythm. And anyone can do that. It took 30 seconds. And so when you're feeling anxious, when you're feeling afraid, when you're feeling alone, if you activate that and keep activating that, and then ask yourself, what is my next divinely inspired action to take? Because when you take action from a place of safety, you create more safety, right?
mm,
And here's the thing. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. And we can never go back in consciousness. So it will self correct. It has to self correct, right? It's not like we're taking all this step backwards. And no, it's
mm.
it's a blip. It might be a very rocky blip, but it is going to be a blip. And when you add consciousness to the energy field, you're giving everyone the opportunity to take a conscious step versus a step based in fear or misalignment.
That sounds really like it's really aligning with how I see things and understand things, Jennifer. I guess I'm curious if you have a tangible example to give our listeners about what making decisions from safety looks like versus making a decision based on fear or whatever, trauma.
Yeah. This is a very key one. I'm in Paris with my mom, and we're waiting to buy tickets for the metro. And I get this feeling of real unease come over me. And I take a deep breath and I just, okay, I'm going to activate safety. And then what I feel and hear is move back. So I take my mom and I'm like, just move back, mom. She's like, what are you? I'm like, mom, I don't know why. Just please move back to the wall. And 5 seconds later, this woman and her 3 kids have taken their money and put it through that little dip for the entire month of metro tickets. And as she's doing it, these kids come by and grab the money and run. And if we didn't move back, we would have been there. My mom would have been knocked down, right? When you take a place of safety and action, you're going to do things that are in alignment versus doing things out of fear. And I think so often we're doing things out of fear to get what we want because we think it's going to get. But when we come from a place of safety, we're actually able to understand and be in the limitlessness versus in only what our human can interpret.
I love that. I love that. I love that whole thing you just said about when we're operating from our safety, the possibilities are endless. We are able to just see, understand, and know way beyond what we would have if we operated from our scarcity, survival, fear perspective
Right.
mindset.
Yeah.
That's huge. And and safety, it's funny because safety is something that's for me personally has I've been more aware of. Am I feeling safe right now in my body, kind of things, like, and sometimes I don't understand what I'm feeling, why I'm feeling it, but I'm like, here's what I'm feeling. Okay, let me address this thing. And a lot of it has to do with, I realize, safety, because before I wouldn't have used the word safety, but it's just interesting how recently I actually don't feel safe, right?
Yeah.
Whatever reason, right? So I think and again, I just think in the times we're in right now, with so many things outside our control, so many things up, down, sideways, curveballing, all the stuff, there are going to be more and more of us who are feeling this way more often because we're not able to control these things.
Right.
So us being able to stand strongly, solidly in my truth, my knowing, and you please say more because I'm just
Yeah.
ripping it.
Yeah, no, I mean, here, the reality is we could never ever control anything, right? The only thing that we control is our response to the world and our metaphysics. And for people who are like, I don't know why I don't feel safe in my body, the first thing I want to say is it yours? Because a lot of us are highly intuitive, we're highly sensitive, and we're picking up the energy or the emotion. So when you first got like, is this mine? If it's yours, it will stay. If it's not, it will drop away.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And another way to do that is go, how do I feel? 1 to 10. 1, you're on the couch eating cheese. That's what I do when I'm sad. Or 10, I'm like, woo, right? You do the scale. Then you take your left hand and put it on your right shoulder and you do the scale again. And normally people go up. And I go, okay, you're participating in the mass consciousness, right? So you want to separate that. And it's just simply by like, I offer that back to everyone with love, right? And then if it's yours, you go, okay, what do I do? What can my soul share with me to move through this, to shift this energy, right?
Mhm.
Because nobody likes to be in pain. And before you want to create anything, before you want to tap into the limitlessness, you have to be able to hear it, understand it, be with it, be in that energy. Or as my friend Jennifer Bloom would say, in the consciousness of the solution, right? So when you get to step into that by listening to your soul, you're able to understand, feel, hear, and see more than when you are in that fear and flight of your body. And it's a practice, right? You're not going to be taking time to like fill your body with safety if you're being chased by a bear. No, you run, right? But so often we're living with that fear of being chased by a bear and we're sitting on our couch, right? So it's really understanding what's yours, what's others, and then what you want to do or move through to
Mhm.
make sure that you feel safety so you can be in touch with your limitlessness.
Yeah, and I think this notion of is it mine, especially for empathic,
Hmm.
centered people, which there are a lot of us out here,
Yeah.
a lot of us, that we pick up on, yeah, energies, and we don't realize it's not even our thing to carry. but we're carrying it. I love that. So thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Um, what occurred to me is any I guess shifting into this new consciousness, how has it let's say a client or anybody you've worked with, how has it dramatically shifted how they're manifesting their dreams, how they're showing up, whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Creative project.
So, I've worked with clients that thought that the world was happening to them, right? You can't you don't have enough energy or life force to create what you want or receive what you want when you believe that you're not enough and that the world is happening to you. Right. So we shift that energy, and then they have the bandwidth to write the book, to create a healing practice, or to find that love of their life. Those are all tangible results that I've experienced with clients. I think also, more importantly, there's a deep sense of peace and clarity. And listen, most people don't think that's a tangible result,
Mm,
but it is. The other day I was having a moment and I thought, oh my God, right now I would pay for anything to be at peace. Like, you just tell me how to get there and I will pay someone, right? And it's such a profound feeling of knowing
mm.
I'm loved, I'm supported, I'm provided for. Now that I know that, how do I want to use it? It creates a big playground, right? You start to realize, like, this is kind of just a big board game that I get to see where I want to go
Mm.
versus, oh my God, it's a struggle to get through life. And I think that's the power of tuning into your soul and letting go of your energy blocks, which are, or energy leaks. It's the same thing, right? Of how you're utilizing your energy inappropriately to keep your pain in a cycle versus letting it go.
Okay, that's deep what you just said right there. Letting go your energy so that you're not keeping your pain, suffering, struggle in a cycle.
Yeah.
Again, I don't want this to I think I know where you're going, but for everybody, making sure we all understand, give us an example of energy block that's keeping you in a cycle.
Yeah. So think of it as, we're going to start with 100 pennies. Okay. So you have 100 pennies of energy to create the day you want, the life you want. Say you're using 75 of those pennies to have this relationship with money, that money's bad, money's evil, it's not for me, money's hard. That's a lot of pennies that you're utilizing to
Mhm.
keep that programming, that pain at bay, right? So then you have 25 pennies to create the life you want. But say you're using 10 of those pennies of energy to believe that you're not enough,
Mm.
right? So now you have 15 pennies to create that book, that relationship, that business, or even freedom, or even new love. That's not enough pennies, right? So you're wasting, in quotes, all of those other pennies in keeping that programming running, keeping that cycle moving, where you could take those pennies back and utilize them to create the life that you want.
I get it, but I think that the challenge, Jennifer, is that so many people, this is an audience of women mostly, don't even realize they're not using their energy in the right way. So
Yeah.
how do they come to awareness of this?
Yeah. So let's go back to the pennies. Everyone get 100 pennies and get 2 cups.
Mm,
One says past, one says future. Every time you have a thought about the past, you drop a penny in. Every time you have a thought about the future, you drop a penny in. At the
mhm,
end of the day, how many pennies you have, that's you in present time to create what you want. That
mm.
will show you how you're utilizing your energy, thinking about the past or worrying
And
about
that's
the
you
future.
stay in the cycle.
Exactly.
That's interesting. Actually, as you said it, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Even thinking about myself and where my thoughts may go. I'm a planner, for, forward thinker, but in terms of like just general stuff, I'm probably going into this is what happened. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
we
Right.
some things or whatever. But yeah.
there's a difference of planning and
Hmm.
worry and concern, which is future, right? Like, oh my
Hmm.
God, I'm so worried about that. Oh my
Exactly.
God, I'm so worried about that. Worry means you're not doing anything about it, nor can you, right? Concern is my car is making a weird sound. I can worry about it and go, oh my God, my car's making a weird sound. Or I can be concerned about it and go and talk to my mechanic and go, this is the weird sound. What is it?
Right.
Right? There's a difference, plan, action versus stagnant. And I
Yeah.
think most people tend to be stagnant. So if a person is watching this and they keep having the same experience time and time again, that is a way to tell you or
You're
show you or
stacking.
illustrate that you have an energy leak.
Yeah. And so that exercise, I mean, is that's something a practical one with the pennies that you actually would have somebody do
Yeah,
and count like how many were in the past, how many were in the future, and probably if they're stuck, they'll realize that five were in the future and whatever 35 were in the past or whatever it is,
right.
and like, oh boy, look at how I'm focused on the past. That's already happened.
Right. And then you want to start to escalate those beliefs and kind of break them down and create new beliefs.
Yeah.
So one of the exercise I did several years ago was I put together a daisy chain of paper of all those things I was holding on to. Like, oh my God, that guy was mean to me in the parking lot. I'm still thinking about that, right? And the daisy chain was long. And
Mm.
then I wrapped it around myself and I walked around for an hour with this paper chain around me, right? Do you know how hard it is to wash a dish when you like got all this paper around you? Like really noticing on a tangible level how holding on all of those things were actually slowing me down. And then I went through the daisies and I went, okay, how am I going to forgive myself for this experience? How am I going to accept it? And then how am I going to let it go? And I took one chain off at a time
Wow.
for the year. I mean, it took me a year,
Yeah, I was gonna
right?
say like, that's gonna take time. Yeah.
Yeah. But at least I'm aware of it and I can make a choice. If you're not aware, you're on autopilot and you're actually not making a choice. So you're in a limitation versus being limitlessness.
This is some good juicy stuff, I think. I mean, I hope that the people, women listening here are getting how this relates to them and how things are showing up in their lives and seeing how you can at least begin to observe and acknowledge I'm operating at this level. I need to do something to address it, else I'll just keep doing what I don't want or having what I don't want.
Right.
Uh, so Jennifer, is there a scenario where limits can be seen as a good thing?
Yeah. I mean, everyone needs limits, right? If you were to run around without limits, you put your hand on the stove, right? So limits are a good thing of understanding like who is energetically aligned with you, right? You just don't go saying yes to everything,
Like, so I'm thinking of boundaries right now. Yeah.
right? Right. So you want to like tune in and go, I do this exercise with my clients about their support team in a house, right? And I go, okay, so if your support team, if your support relationships are, you know, rooms in a house, who's in your bedroom?
Hmm.
And do they really belong in your bedroom? Or do you have a bunch of people in your bedroom that don't belong there, right? Who's in your kitchen? For me, that's refrigerator rights, right? I'm not going to let anybody come in my life and open up my refrigerator, especially now it's a mess, right? Right. But, I was doing this exercise with a client and she went, oh my God. I was like, what? She's like, I've realized that I put a lot of people think that they're in my kitchen and they're not. They're like on the deck. But because I've been saying yes to them, without limits, now they're all in my kitchen. And then they
Hmm.
get mad at me when I say no, right? And so limits do have a place, right? When you are making decisions that are in your greatest good, when you're saying no to something that doesn't resonate with you, that's a limit and it has to be respected, right?
Yeah.
Although it's not convenient or It doesn't add to your creation when you're putting a limit on your dream, right? Like, one of my big things that I want to do is I want to do a riverboat cruise. I mean, I think that's just first of all because I love Agatha Christie, and then I hope somebody gets killed on that riverboat. But right, but I can go. Okay, here are all the reasons why I can't do that. First of all, it's hugely expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, I don't think my boyfriend Warner is going to want to go on a river cruise. Like, that's a very intimate space. I know he's not, right? Number three, like, oh my God, that's like during peak business times. Do I want to, like, right? There's a bunch of no's,
Reasons, yeah.
right? That's limits. So when you're knowing or putting a limit on your dream, you want to step into an era of curiosity.
So
Like,
okay, are you gonna go there? Tell us what would you be thinking if you were in that place of curiosity with
yeah.
with that dream?
So it would be like, oh, this is my dream. Okay, I'm going to be curious about how I'm going to receive money for that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, curious. And then I'm going to put action, which I have, put action behind it. I'm going to take a little bit of every money I make and put it aside in a special account for that. Right. I'm going to be curious about, well, let's see who I want to go with or who wants to go. Right. I'm going to start talking about it because somebody in my community might want to go. And
Mm-hmm.
that might be a fun girls' trip. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see how even my voice has changed
Yes,
of
yes,
energy, right? Versus no, no, no. It's
yeah.
stepping into a, well, if you're going to write your story, let's write it in a big possible way and not write it from a point of I can't
Mm-hmm.
or it won't.
So here's how I see it's funny. So I use the word like when I'm working with clients, especially too, and with myself, I'll say we have to put guardrails. I say guardrails around certain whatever it might be, actions, decisions, initiate things they're initiating, executing, guardrails, because yes, like you're saying, like we're not reckless as we approach life, like we're not 5-year-old kids.
Right.
So yes, I wouldn't have used the word limits, but everything you're saying aligns with my guardrails or boundaries. Absolutely. As mature beings with life experience and
Right.
emotional maturity, we know we need to have boundaries. We need to have like guardrails around the
Right.
things we're creating and initiating and making sure they're in align with us and the people who are involved with all that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, yeah, so that's different from, but that's different from saying, so I can have guardrails, but when I'm thinking of my dreams, so this part of this summit is about us being able to manifest the desires, the dreams of that we want in our business, in our professional lives, in our life lives, so how do I start as opposed to going down the I can't, like you're saying, I can't because, and all the cons, all the reasons, which we can think of very quickly because our mind defaults to that most often, like the what if? Would it look like?
Yeah.
Perspective. And so go ahead.
There's, if to manifest something, there's an internal and external action. So most of the time people go to the external action, right? Like, we'll take the riverboat, right? Oh my God. Okay. So I need to book it. I need to find out. I need to do all the external actions. Like, we
Yeah.
could just list them out. But in order to do the external action, there's an internal action that gets to happen first. People forget that, right? Internal actions fall into a couple categories. You get to accept something. You
Mhm.
get to turn something on like a superpower. That's what we did with divine intelligence and safety. We
Mhm.
get to let something go. And here's the thing, when you let something go, you might have to let it go again, right? Or you get to accept something or allow something. Allow is an opening up, right?
Yeah.
So I want to book the river cruise. Okay, so let's tune in, Jen, and see what internal barrier, like what internal um, limitation that I'm putting on myself, right?
Mhm.
I couldn't possibly take all that time off. Okay. So what do I get to let go of or accept or activate to know that I'm safe to do that? To know that the business will take care of itself. Then I do that. Then can I take that external action? I don't know.
And
Or
what if that trip leads to a business opportunity that you cannot even imagine right now? You don't even
right.
know it's possible right now, but you open yourself up to what if I meet whatever? Yeah.
Yeah, right. But when you do the internal action, most of the time an opportunity is sent your way, right? And sometimes you get an opportunity and you have to do an internal action. Sometimes it happens like the chicken and the egg. We don't know which one's going on.
Mhm.
But it's this ebb and flow of actually co-creating with your manifestation process that's key. So you're actually working with the unlimited goo, right? You're actually working with your internal landscape and the external. I'm going to tell you a very brief story because I think it's really powerful.
Mhm.
So I'm in my car and I'm listening to the radio and I'm mad at the divine. I call that God. I'm mad at God. And I'm like, okay, God, I want proof that you know I exist. And my dad, who's dead, I want proof that my dead dad is working for me on the other side. So a song comes on that my dad liked on the radio. I was like, yeah,
Oh, I
too
love that.
easy,
Yeah.
too easy.
It's so easy.
It's not good enough. So the announcer comes on. He goes, "Hey, thanks so much for all the requests and all of those places where would listen to great music." And he starts listing them out, and I start rolling my eyes. And then he goes, "And Brothers 3," and I drive off the side of the road because that was the name of my father's bar that I forgot he had. Right?
Oh,
So not in a million years could I come up with that
yeah.
scenario. So when you step into that space of limitations, it allows divinity
No,
to
not limitation. Limit.
limitless. When you step into that limitless, it allows the God goo to move and bring you the opportunities. Because we think we're doing it all ourselves, and that's a very limiting thought. We're doing like this much.
Girl,
Yeah.
speak. I mean, seriously,
Yeah.
right?
Like
Like,
this
oh
much.
my God. That's to me that can be freeing when I do know that and understand and believe that and get that. It's like I am just a vessel. I am just like literally like God, you do work through me. Let me be totally free channel for you to do your thing through me, right?
Right.
Like, but yes, it's being that, it's being able to be that open, clear, un blocked channel vessel for all the gifts that you have been given to be birthed out there and be,
Yes. And knowing you have to be a willing participant,
yeah,
knowing you're co-creating, knowing that, whatever you call your higher power, universe, tree, Bob, God, cupcake, doesn't matter. But you're on the same level, right? There's no hierarchy here. You're co-creating because I was once told by a mentor, which has given me infinite um comfort that everything I've ever wanted has already been created before I could even say it. And it just has to come into this form,
right.
right? So you're like, oh, okay. So what do I keep holding the space for? Where do I place my energy? What do I do to meet up with that thing, bring that thing into this tangibility? It's hugely comforting and it takes a lot of pressure off me.
Yeah, and I love that you say, who do I need to become to meet that opportunity, that goal, that thing that's already there in the realm, the heavenly realm, but it hasn't come into the 3D world yet
Yeah,
because I am not where I need to be to match it.
agreed. It's just a matter of playing the game, right? Like we make this really serious. And most of the time, it's really not about life and death, right? And we're making it every little thing mean life and death. And that's exhausting. So when you come from a place of like, let's see how we can play this game, it allows for a deeper sense of freedom and you can access more of your unlimited, unlimited uh, energy and qualities.
Love it.
Okay.
Jennifer, how can we let go of our past and not repeat those patterns? I mean, you might have addressed this already, but I want to make sure I ask that question.
Yeah, I think the way to let go of the past is to have neutrality around it,
Mm,
right? I had this. I We moved to Scranton, PA recently, but I used to live on the same street for like 20 years, and I lived in this house where the woman down below because it was very thin walls, would have the same conversation. She would say, "You don't hear me," to her mother. And then she would say, I guess, to her best friend, "You don't hear me." And then to her boyfriend, "You don't hear me." And I wanted to go down
Ah.
and say, "You're the only thing in common with those three people," right? Right. So often we are repeating it because we haven't resolved and taken the charge out of it. So when something has a charge of it, you have to understand how you react, right? To me, I get all kid-like and I want to kick it, right? But it should be those past things should be like how I feel about cauliflower. I don't like it. There's no charge around it. I'm not like, oh my God, I don't
The
not like God,
your
right?
neutrality, yeah.
Neutrality. Because the person with the most powerful person in the room is the one with the least amount of attachment. And that's how you let go of things with the past, not being attached to it, meaning that experience doesn't mean that you're a bad person, a good person, or whatever. It's just an experience. And that's how you start to dissolve the painful programming.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of that, like you said, the most powerful person in the room, like that very poised, composed, grounded, calm person is not that attached to a lot of stuff. That's why they can show up that way. They aren't easily triggered.
Right.
That's deep. All right, let's get into fire round, Jennifer.
Fun.
All right. So do you have a word or theme of the year? And if so, what is it?
I picked a card. I always pick medicine cards, and this year was skunk, which is all about reputation. So, yeah, this is the year of the skunk. So it's about reputation this year, and I'm like in curiosity about what that truly means.
All right. You might have said this already, but let's go here. What's one limit you once believed in that you completely shattered?
Not enough. I mean, completely shattered, but it really ruled a lot of my decisions, my experience, how I related to the world. Not enough, not smart enough. The other day I said, I'm really smart. And I stood back. There's a part of me like, woo. Yeah, it's the not enough.
Mm. Okay, so in 1 to 3 words, how would you describe your leadership presence?
That is very graceful warrior. That's how I would describe it.
Mm.
Action, courage, and grace.
Like it.
Thank
Okay.
you.
What's a favorite quote or song title you'd like to share that has been instrumental in your life?
It's a Reading Gate song by the Ex Ambassadors. Love that song.
Mm.
It's although I'm a little annoyed that there's no women that they mention in that song, but it's really about I'm a renegade and my people are what I call spiritual renegades, so I'm not going to do it like anyone else does it.
Mm. Who do you see as a limitless leader in the public eye, past or present?
Elvis.
Mm.
I mean, look, Elvis had his problems, but he also had that thing that where he was just knew that he had something to share, right? Um, and he took chances.
So interesting. Um, if you could gift every woman one belief about herself, what would it be?
Power. Um,
Love
to
that.
embrace it, accept it, know it. Um, one of the things that troubles me
Mm,
is when people go, I don't want to be like those people who have the power. And I'm like, we all have power, right? Like, right? Where there's nobody on this planet has any more power than anyone else. It's how we use it appropriately or inappropriately. There's nothing different between me and the Dalai Lama. He just uses his power really well, right? Like power and the ability to know that if they utilize it, they're going to utilize it well. Because a lot of people go, I don't want to be like those people. Those,
yeah. So I have to just say chime in here because I literally gave a workshop last night about the presence of our power and the power of our presence. And I talked about how as women, we shy away, fear, resist because it has power, has this connotation. Anyway, I could go on and on, but literally, yes, agree,
Yeah.
100%. Yes. Okay, last question. Um, what's a practice you do often that helps you embody your limitlessness?
I connect. I mean, I have a whole metaphysical process called the coning to do that connection, but I connect. I just wrote about this in my Facebook group. I'm like, and I was laughing at myself. I'm like, oh my God, when like I'm in that coning, I'm in that connection, it's so peaceful. There's no fear. And I'm like, well, why am I not like there all the time? Like I forget. And like we all forget.
Yeah.
But that connection process of being really deeply connected to myself, to my divine, to my metaphysical support team, um, that's where the fun is. That's where the pleasure is. That's where the peace is. Um, and I hear this all the time from people, especially master healers. Oh yeah, we forgot because we're still in the busyness of doing our lives instead of being the stillness of being in our life.
Woo! Yeah. We're human beings, and it's so
Yeah.
hard to be a human being in this crazy life that's life and earth and world, whatever. Oh my God. Wonderful, wonderful. Jennifer,
Yeah.
tell us about your free gift.
So I have a quiz that also, when you take the quiz, you sign up for a video, like a couple free tools, which helps people understand their energy lake and the impact on your business and on your life. So it's really fun. It's like 10 minutes, like not even. And then you get a couple tools for a couple days so you can actually start to change that energy lake and clear it so you can have more abundance, more wealth, more happiness in that area of your life.
Love it.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to share with our listeners and viewers?
Um, just to keep asking yourself if you knew you were enough or if you knew you were unlimited, what would you be and do here?
Absolutely. This was a pleasure. So many
Thank you.
good gems. I loved a lot of things you said, a lot of
Thank you.
different ways to look at things. I think this will be very helpful to the audience. Thank you for being a featured speaker,
Thank you.
Jennifer.
It's my pleasure, my honor, and fun interview. So thanks for being such a, you're good at your job. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. See you ladies next time. Be well.